Welcome to Karibu Anawim's program, 15 Minutes at Dr. Zayli's Desk, where we explore topics related to living with a facial disfigurement. This program is for you, your loved ones, for educational purposes and professionals who would like to know more about living with facial disfigurement. Our presenters have lived experience, research background, or work with people living with facial disfigurement. It's important to begin the conversation with terminology that society understands and is clear. We use the word disfigurement as it is the medical and legal terminology. We recognise you may identify with other words such as visible difference or with your own diagnosis. Let's see where the conversation goes. So pull up a seat, grab a cuppa, and let's chat around the table with Karibu Anawim's 15 Minutes at Dr. Zayli's Desk.
Hi guys and welcome. Last week we introduced, it was a new month. It was the month of June, and throughout the month of June we are going to talk about grief. Welcome if you're visiting for the first time. Great to have you on board. Last week we introduced living with grief, and this week we're going to chat about can't you fix my face? Grieving the loss of looking at your face. Hang on, I'm just going to put this up and go to my banners. So should we get into it? Firstly, I would like to chat about the doctors will fix it. Surely they will. Yeah, surely they will. Well, that's probably our initial reaction, whether or not we've had a child living with a facial, born with a facial disfigurement, or whether or not we've acquired our facial disfigurement or our child's facial disfigurement later on in life, whether or not it's 10 days old, such as myself, or you might be 40, you might be 20, you might have been a tradie and not worn your protection, your glass protection, your eyewear, and something may have accidentally gone in it because it is an accident. Well, firstly, there might be disbelief. Has this really occurred? And then there's shock. And then there's denial. Does this sound like grief to you? As in, it's going to get better. It will heal. It will resolve it if I... And then we can go to what I call doctor shopping, or shopping for doctors or surgeons. Yes, you heard that. Placing on hold the grieving process. That means that, we go from one. I'm saying that we shouldn't go for first, a second opinion on things, because that is good, because lots of doctors have different ways of dealing with things and have got different skill sets. What I am saying is that if we get caught in our grief, caught in our shock, and continue to stay in our grief, then that could lead to shopping for doctors, because the doctors are going to fix my face. They are going to fix my face. I want them to fix my face. What happens when doctors can't fix your face? Anyone? Well, there's what's well known, the 5 stages of grief by Kubler-Ross. 1, denial. That didn't happen. It didn't really happen. I'm going to wake up tomorrow, or I'm going to look in the mirror in half an hour time, and I'm going to have my face looking like I used to have it, or what is my normal face. And then comes the anger. Number 2 is the anger. I am frustrated. I am angry. This didn't happen. And then we go into bargaining. The third one is bargaining. If I try another surgery, will it fix it? If I place this lotion on, if I wear prism glasses, will that fix it? Will I, if I have for port wine stains, if I have laser surgery to get it lasered off, will that happen? Will that make me feel better? Will that make me feel more supported in the community? But I didn't know this, but did you know that if you've got it lasered off and women get pregnant, the pregnancy and everything else, as far as I understand from someone that I've interviewed with it, that can trigger it to come back again and to be red again. As in it did with her in her case. I'm not quite sure whether or not that happens in all cases, but it did happen in hers. And then fourthly comes depression. Some people may stay here, and that's called, there's a different name for that. That's called complicated grief, where people can't get out of being angry and experiencing frustration and then continuing bargaining, and that fuels depression. And then finally, the fifth one is after we've done all those, but it's not linear, okay? It's in and out and it's all over the place. It's kind of like a big ball of wool, you don't know what touches what and what's going to trigger what. So it's not linear. You don't go from this to this to this to this to this. You might jump from being depressed to being in denial. You might go from being, accepting, which is the fifth thing, where you accept what's happened, yeah? To back into denial. That happens. I can't believe this is happening again. I can't believe that they're staring again, sort of thing, these sort of things. I'd like to give you an example of maybe where they can't fix my face, such as me. Well, I live with third nerve palsy, and my third cranial nerve, is damaged. So that nerve has so many endings. I have been told before that it's kind of like, if you can see the ball point of that pen, they've got thousands, I can't see it, they've got hundreds of thousands of nerve endings that they have to go, this is the A one, this one needs to be connected to the A, this one next to be the B, and so forth. They all have to be connected to their rightful mate in order for the brain to be able to get the message through to my eye to blink and to track with the others. Can I patch it? They've, this for third nerve palsy survivors is something that continues to this day. They patch the good eye, thinking that this will, trick the brain in thinking that our squint, looking through the world with a squint, whether or not a squint is, that I understand, squint is where your eye looks just off or way off to the side like this. I can't do it without looking at you. And so my eye, I don't know where it is today. Let's see. I don't know. Is it up? Is it down? It should be down and out to the side, yeah? But it's not. After I turned 40, it just free balls in there. But basically, it should be down and out. So anything that is not looking forward and can't track with, I think, is called a squint. And I had squint surgery when I was young. But what they believe that what might happen is that it would trick the brain to continue the sight in the eye. And why does this happen? Why can't the doctors fix me? Well, I don't think there's enough knowledge in the area, and there's certainly not enough money, I don't believe, or people that are aware to conduct the trials. Now, with grief and living with a face that can't be fixed, such as mine, we always have a choice. We can choose to be bitter about the world and our lot in life, or we can change, or we can get better. We always have a choice. We can choose how we're going to live with our difference. We choose to connect, firstly, to ourselves, because sometimes it's really difficult. Sometimes we need to touch base with ourselves and our bodies, get in touch with our body, get in touch with how we're feeling, because so often it is so easy to get busy being busy and denying and not wanting to not wanting to experience the feelings that go along with this, like disbelief. Oh my gosh, that person just stared at me, I can't believe it. Instead of, I'm just going to go shopping, I'm going to ignore them. And sometimes that is a good coping mechanism and a good strategy to use. But we can choose to connect to ourselves, our family, and others. We may choose to connect or communicate, should I say. We can choose to communicate our feelings with others who may be experiencing the same issues. So going onto self-help groups and getting a good self-help group, because sometimes self-help groups can be not so healthy, and others are great. They're encouraging, they're uplifting, and others are maybe not so encouraging and uplifting. Maybe they are stuck. Some of them are stuck in that anger, frustration, bargaining stage, and that may not be a good place for you to stay for long. And you may choose to communicate by becoming an advocate for your own diagnosis. And you can choose to readjust. You can choose to readjust to daily life. Is that hard? Is that difficult? Yeah, it is. But that is a choice that you can make. And you can choose to reinvest in yourself, in the world, forming new relationships and creating new commitments, and learning how to accept the changes that have occurred and to move forward. Remember that it's okay not to be okay sometimes. And to remember to practice some self-care, being kind to yourself and your family members. You may wish to employ a counsellor. A good grief counsellor, for example, would be good. You may choose to exercise or journal or art, use art as an expression. You may use support groups. You can visit our website, our support groups, trawl through our YouTube channel. I've got lots of people that talk about their issues and their experiences, from burn survivors through to third nerve palsy, she actually talks about a lot about grief there and how she's overcome that, or she's overcoming that. We all always are overcoming some sort. And her name's Krista, by the way. And, we've got Africans, Precious, Katula, that we've had 2 sessions with. And right now, shall we go to our hypothalamus reset, where we reset our hypothalamus? When we reset anything, our body will let us know. It may let us know with deeper breathing. We might sigh. We may even have a yawn. Okay, so now from last week to this week, you will have to find the little indentations on the side of your head lining up with your eyes. If you can find those indentations on the back of your head, you can place your two fingers, your pointer finger, or your pointer finger and your tall man into the indentations and begin rubbing. Oh, I'm sorry. How rude. I don't know how to fix that. That's okay. It's done. Oh dear. I didn't put it on silent, obviously. And you can begin rubbing backwards in a circular motion, right? And this is called the hypothalamus release. So we can do this, and sometimes, I'm going to yawn now because something's happened. And that can be put together with the pituitary release, which was this one that we learnt last month. Okay, we've talked a lot about grief. We've talked about how we can, doctors will fix it and what happens when they don't. And I've given you an example of when they can't. And we've talked about the 5 stages of grief, which are not linear or linear that way. It's just a model of what we might go through. Next week, we will continue with our grief as a theme, and I will be presenting next week as well on some of my doctoral findings on grief and facial eye disfigurement. Until then, thank you very much for coming, and I'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
By golly gosh, it's the end of Karibu Anawim's 15 Minutes at Dr. Zaley's Desk. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember that all information given during this episode is for general application only. If you have any specific medical issues, as always, consult with your medical practitioner. Like, subscribe and share on whatever platform you find us on. For more information, please connect with Karibu Anawim on our website at karibuanawim.com or email us at inquiries@karibuanawim.com.